Well, drab affair, gents. Bit disappointing. Not really what we wanted yesterday. Um, but point to point away from home, we got to take some solace in that, surely.
Yeah, there's been quite a meltdown actually after the result, hasn't there? That I can't really see past because yes, you'd say we've dropped 2 points because it was a really poor outing, but you know the bottom line is, and we'll come on to this obviously much later, but there is a chance to right this wrong on Tuesday night against Port Vale, and I think everyone is kind of forgetting that because we go to Port Vale on Tuesday, and even though they won on Saturday, if we win there, then nobody is going to bat an eyelid.
Yeah, it's as we said, we'll mention about Port Vale in a bit, but I think that yesterday was just it was really difficult to get going. I think if I'm right, we didn't have a shot on target. To watch the game itself, it was really poor. I felt that we seem to get suckered into playing how other teams play instead of playing to the way that we play. And for the first half, it was a lot of long ball and over the top, and we just weren't using those midfielders like we were using against Colchester the week before.
No, I totally agree. Like it seems to be a theme though, doesn't it? Like we saw with Gillingham, that we're struggling to break down these teams. That I said it last week. We go up against a team that doesn't want to play football. 90% of that game, they had full 11 men behind the ball, and we just didn't have that ingenuity to be able to break down that low block yet again. Is there a deeper rooted issue here, or is it something we really need to worry about massively? Do we think with the last 7 games coming up now? I know we've only got 3 at home, and 4 of them are away. But is it a problem, or is it a point away from home is going to suffice?
I think it's a bit of both. A point away from home is definitely not an issue. Although, if you'd have said sort of 3 weeks ago that we'd have only got 1 point out of Gillingham, Tranmere, and Accrington, that would have been a cause for concern, definitely. But with other results in the league, it's not a massive issue, I don't think. With regards to the situation, like you say, that we really do struggle against that low block when teams sit in, and we're far more threatening when teams come and play football at us. I think it's just to do with the way we like to play. We like to play with a high press, and we like to catch teams out when we can. And when, like you say, when teams do play that low block, we just don't really have the speed of moving the ball maybe to break them down, and you're relying on your special players in the midfield to really create something, which was the case when Poynton and Patterson came on against Accrington. We did improve, but you'd have still said we didn't do enough to win the game.
You say we rely on the speed, we don't have the speed and stuff, but we've got players like Teo. Yesterday, I thought he possibly had his worst game in a City shirt so far. I wasn't. He didn't seem up for taking on his man at all yesterday. Same with Tyreek as well. I thought Tyreek reverted back to the Tyreek that we kind of got used to. Especially, obviously, he got put back into left wing back when Teo got pulled off. But there just didn't seem to be that cohesion at
No,
all.
no. I think when I mean, sorry, I'll clarify. When I mean like speed, I mean the speed that we move the ball, not like the speed in general in the team. I know we've got speed in the team. That's a given with how we like to play our football. But I just mean the ability to really ping the ball about the park and play that tiki taka, for lack of a better word. We don't. I think when teams play the low block, we don't pull them about the pitch enough, maybe, which is again something that I think has been a long term issue, not something that has cropped up in the last few weeks. But again, I don't really see it as a problem. Like you say, when we go to Port Vale on Tuesday night, they'll probably look to play a bit more expansively than Accrington did. So I think that will make it more of a game and give us more of a chance of playing our style of football.
That's so true, and this is the thing, and we said this last week about Colchester was if they come at us and they attack at us, we're probably going to win. When teams do come and attack us, we do seem to get the victory, or we seem to get the 3 points. Certainly, yesterday I've just felt that Accrington were more than happy with a point, playing their style of football. We got grounded down to their level. Again, the other thing that we have to think about is the away form. You know, we've won 5 games away from home this season. That's simply not good enough, especially for a team who are expected to win the league. And 5 wins away from home just isn't doing it. And you could see that yesterday. As I said, I think you're right about Teo yesterday. I thought he was pretty poor yesterday. I think he looked a bit lost, if I'm honest, in his positioning. Tyreek, absolutely, completely agree with that. But there was, we didn't help ourselves a lot as well. With, for instance, Kavanagh was completely marked out of the game by Rawson. He just had no answer to him. The guy's like twice the size of him, and that's no, over exaggeration. And we really, really struggled with that. And he just was not in the game at all. And that just completely, decimated any chances of attacking.
The thing is, though, right, we've got us away form, and it has been an issue all season. But yesterday, you were there, Chris, so it's probably more directed at you, this. There were more City fans there than Aki fans. Surely it must have felt more like an home game. It's not going to be VP style because there's not 20,000, there's not 18,000, don't get me wrong. But the majority of that stadium were filled with Bantams. Surely it must feel like a home game.
Yes and no. I thought we were really quiet yesterday. I think the nerves were probably affecting the fans a lot yesterday. But we were really quiet. I felt that at times Accrington were a lot louder than us in their cop stand, which is actually quite cool. They had quite a lot of like ultra style flags and things like that before the game, but they were much louder than us. I think you could feel the tension in the crowd. I was in the seats on the side, but you could just feel that there was a lot of tension of what was going on, and I think that stunted us really a little bit in our support of the team yesterday. It was almost a bit eerie, a bit surreal, really, about how quiet we were. And I think that probably didn't help. I wouldn't say that I felt it was a home game. Do you know, we've had the amount of fans. So I think, again, that just comes down to participation from fans yesterday.
Well, I think there's a lot of expectation at the moment, isn't there, that we are going to start duppying these teams at the bottom of the table. We've turned a corner, and I think that expectation probably combined with a really, really poor game from both teams, really, just leveled the atmosphere completely. And I wonder if, Alexander came out in a press conference about 2 or 3 weeks ago and said, we want the fans to get carried away. We want them to start dreaming of this title. But inside the dressing room, we're just focused on game after game and getting out of this league. And I wonder if that sort of divide, that contrast is starting to show, where the fans are like, well, we're going to get out this league. I think that's a given. That's what the fans are saying, not saying that's what I'm saying. But again, Alexander is probably just focused on, well, let's get out of the league, even if that means, we go up third or we go up second, or, if we even win the title. And maybe that divide is just starting to show from the fans and what's happening on the pitch, especially with yesterday's, well, should we say safe approach? Is that the right word?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think it's getting to the point where we just have to realise we have to get over that line. Yesterday results did not go in our favour whatsoever. Bar if you feel that the 1-1 draw with Walsall was a good result, but I feel that we've just got to get over the line. I'll be honest, before the game, where was my head? I was thinking we're going to win the league. After it, you kind of have to have that surreal moment, or that reality check where you're going, okay, actually, you know what? The point is we need to get out of this league, and whatever way that is, then we do. The other thing as well is that we need to think about, and I noticed there has been a meltdown, as you mentioned, Ewan, from fans. They always say that if you want to win the league, you've got to win your home games, and you've got to be looking at a draw away from
exactly,
home.
Yeah,
you do that. You've got a good chance of going up.
We didn't lose, did we?
Exactly.
That's the thing. We didn't lose, and like, if you can't win a game of football, don't lose it. That's an age-old mantra that every manager's spouted since dawn of time. if we can't win it, don't lose it. We didn't lose it. We never looked like losing it, in fairness. And I don't want to be living in history, but in past times, Aki go and beat us 1-0 in 93rd minute. Like, so turning the corner, I think we have. I think yesterday, just going back to game a bit, I might be grasping at straws a little bit, but I think their pitch being so narrow didn't help our style of football, because you had Smallwood, you had Baldwin, we were pinging it. It's such a small pitch, but we were doing our usual pings across, which 9 times out of 10 would have got to Brad. We're overhitting because the pitch was that small. So it might be clasping at straws a little bit to try and justify a poor performance. But on that as well, I don't think we were that poor. We couldn't break down the low block. Don't get me wrong, and that's concerning. That's the attacking sort of front end issue. But as a team, were we really that terrible? I don't think we were.
I mean, the only other thing I would mention to that is that our XG was 0.26 yesterday. Theirs was
calm down, Derek.
Theirs was 0.36. That kind of tells you what kind of game it was yesterday. There was only one shot on target in the entire game, and that came from Accrington. And we had six shots in total yesterday. That's not good enough. That's not saying that we played well, is it?
No,
no. I think I will say this in defence of City is that when Patson and Poynton came on, I'm not saying that we looked like we were going to win it, but there was only one team that had the wind in the sails, and that was us. But again, like you say, we didn't do enough. Like, we haven't had a shot on target. That is the bottom line, and that needs to be addressed.
Are we being harsh on Accrington as well here? Because I thought they defended. Once they got their men behind ball, they defended really well. Like, they had their tasks. They were set to a man, and they did it really well, in fairness to them. So are we being a bit harsh on Accrington? Because to be fair, we weren't great, but I don't think we were that bad. But I thought they defended really well, to be fair. They were out at us quickly. I thought we were a good yard or two off our normal press, which is a big disappointment. But on the whole, Accrington, I thought, defended really well. Like, they were so structured, and every man knew the position. And they were able to cut off all of our lanes until, I'd say, Bobby and Pato came on.
Yeah, I think it was this is definitely being added at this bit. Hold on, I'll start again. What was your point again, mate?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
No, I think we've definitely been harsh on Accrington, and I will hold my hand up, and Chris should too, saying 3 and 4-0 victories. It needs to be addressed. We said
it's your fault.
Yeah, it's our fault. We completely jinxed it, especially Chris. Yeah, we were poor, but yeah, I mean, like we said last week, there's no slouches in this league. Every game is a hard game, and nothing is a given. And maybe we did think it would be a given. And we've got to hold ourselves accountable for that as a team, and just say that was a poor game. But also, just need to move on to Tuesday night now, because, like I say, there's a massive chance to rectify that mistake.
Yeah, I think we have over-egged it a little bit. Maybe we've got a little bit ahead of ourselves after the Colchester the game, and kind of like how that went down. I think we just thought we were going to end up winning every game, which just never happens, does it? We've been kind of brought back down to earth a little bit here. This the challenge and the battle into getting those promotion spots is going to be much more difficult than we first anticipated, and we've got to be respectful of other teams, and maybe I don't know, maybe I felt that we gave them a little bit too much respect yesterday, which was the reason why we struggled to break them down. I do feel that maybe that was the case. Defensively, as you mentioned, though, Andy, I thought they were absolutely brilliant. They were just all big, tall lads at the back, weren't they? And we did struggle to break them down. But it just looked like we just didn't have many plans or ideas, and that just really stunted us.
think that's something that were echoed as well in Alexander's post-match. You could tell that he wasn't too happy with how the game had gone. He was very set in the mind of, we got what we deserved out of that. We weren't good enough for the 3. And I think that's fair play to him for acknowledging that. He didn't come out and say, "Oh, we were shit, we were shocking," you know what I mean? But he acknowledged the fact that we weren't good enough at 3, and I love that about him because he is honest. He's honest to a point where he won't say being terrible today, but he'll certainly get the point across that he's not happy. And I like that he's not trying to hide behind the fact that we had more possession. He's fully aware that possession don't win football matches. XG doesn't win football matches. And I just like it. I just like his pure honesty when he comes out in these press conferences after games, before games. It's just a likable character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's just honest.
He just gets it. He just gets it, doesn't he? He gets what the city's about as well. And I think this is something that I wanted to quickly touch on. I don't think we've had a manager that kind of gets Bradford, the city of Bradford, the way that he does since Parky.
Yeah, completely and utterly agree with that thought. I remember that when he was at Salford manager, he came to Valley Parade. I think they lost 2-1, but they were 1-0 down at half time. And apparently the team talk was about, do you realise what this club's all about? Do you realise that this is Bradford City? And he was really nailing in that kind of point of view about what the club means. He's been the perfect man for the club. I was lucky enough to meet him in the home end at Salford at the 92 bar and had a quick chat with him. But, you know, when you talk to him, sometimes when you talk to people and they just ooze confidence, but you will listen to every single word they say. It was very much like that. And he was saying, listen, the boys are on side. We're on side. We're going to give this a really good go and we're going to do everything that we can. And there was nothing that what he said made me doubt him whatsoever. In fact, if anything, it increased my confidence because he's just that kind of chap. And, we look at kind of, for instance, like, your Derek Adams who came in. Did he get this club? No, not a chance did Derek Adams understand this club. Maybe your Gary Boyers, did they understand the club? I don't think they did either. We always have needed that kind of manager who gets us, understands that this is a working man's club, and also understands the fans and the frustrations. And that's why we can get on board with him. And we also quite enjoy watching the style of football, certainly in the last 6 months that we've been playing.
Totally agree. So is the away form going to cost us? This is the big be-all and end-all question. Is it going to cost us title or even us? How are we feeling going into this last 7 games now? We've got 3 home games, so the majority of our games now are away.
I don't think it's going to cost us. Like you say, the old cliche is if you win your home games and draw your away games, you're going to be all right. And we've been doing that with some consistency. Even if some performances away from home haven't been good enough, we're not conceding a lot. We can't look past to get a clean sheet yesterday, even though neither team really caused anyone problems. But we're still strong at home. We're fairly strong away, and I think we're going to be all right with it.
So you don't think? Do you still think there's a title shot on then? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've touched on it a few times already, but I do want to now examine it sort of in greater detail with like results from elsewhere. But Walsall, we matched them yesterday. They only got a draw. We only got a draw, and there is an immediate chance to respond to Saturday's setbacks on Tuesday when we play Port Vale. So this will all be just water under the bridge if we go and beat Port Vale on Tuesday night. Even if we got a draw against Port Vale on Tuesday night, I think would be a good result. Because, as we've already mentioned, Walsall have got Doncaster away on Tuesday, which is another massive game for them. And they could well drop more points in that game. I think there's no reason to panic at all.
I tend to agree. I think, and I'm fairly sure you'll agree. I think it could go down to a goal difference. The way I've worked it out is if City win their 3 homes and we draw all of our 4 away games, we'll finish on 83 points for the season. That's enough to see autos. It's not enough for a title. That's the way I'm viewing it.
I mean, with Warsaw's form, 83 could well enough be enough for the title, because Walsall are now no wins in 7 and do have quite a difficult run in with the next few games they've got to play. Again, like we mentioned, Doncaster away on Tuesday night, and I think we've got to play a lot of our difficult games at home. You know, we've got Notts County at home, we've got Crewe at home. Yes, we've got Chesterfield and Port Vale obviously away to come, but you know, we've got a fairly even spread of home and away difficult fixtures, I think. So there's a good chance that we can pick up points in those matches, and Walsall might not. I think just staying in touching distance is so important, like you say, because I think it will go down to the wire.
Yeah, I think we're definitely on for a low, a record low points for a title this season. I think if I remember right, I saw a fact, and it's something like it'll be what people have worked out by accumulating the scores is that, the results is going to be that it's going to be the lowest points since something like 2003. In this league, but that just goes to show how genuinely anybody is beating everybody at the moment. Do at 83 points, I think that's a decent total for this year, unless we have another kind of like a Port Vale or a Donny just going on and winning every other game until the end of the season. In fact, we're going to have to win a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I saw a fact that Doncaster would have to win their remaining 9 games to have a shot at the title, and a Doncaster fan pointing out, when was the last time we won 9 in a row? And I think every team is thinking that at the moment, is that, if we could only string a run together, we'd be all right. But no one can string a run together because, like you say, no game is a given.
Nobody wants to go up.
Nobody wants to go up. Yep.
It seems to be the story about League Two this season. Nobody wants to do it.
Absolutely. So we briefly touched on goal difference there, but Walsall sitting top as of this weekend on 71 points and a positive goal difference of 24. We're still only a point behind them, with them failing to beat Wimbledon. They got a 86th minute equaliser, I think, in quite a tight game, if I remember. And we've got a plus 20 goal difference. So only 4 behind. A win and a loss either way for us sees us possibly slip into first place. Then obviously behind us, we've got Port Vale on 67 points, but they only have a plus 11 goal difference, and that's quite a gap, I think, 9 goals to City, which is, we've talked about how tight it could be, but it's going to be quite tight there as well, I think. But the advantage is we've got that goal difference to back us up, which is something I don't think I've ever said about Bradford.
Yes.
No, I totally agree. It's balmy, right? When you look at how it was when a few months ago, when Walsall were running away with it, we were so far off the pace, goal difference and all. Like I'm sure there were a good 14 goal swing at one point required to even get level with Walsall. So the fact that we've pulled it back is monumental, to be fair. It is a tight league. It could go down to goal difference. I don't think it will, where we're concerned. I think your goal difference is probably going to come into effect for your Donnies, your Wimbledons, and your Port Vales. Because I know we're ending our shows, especially over towards back end of season, on what do we think the league table's going to look like at the end of the season? See how far wrong we are. But I'm fairly sure Walsall's still going to drop out of us, and I reckon I do think we have got enough in us to win title. So I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue for us. But your Wimbledons, your Donnies, goal difference could be huge.
Absolutely. Well, like we've been saying, Tuesday night is the night to right all wrongs, and if we win there, then absolutely you're thinking that it's a bit of a statement, and especially if Walsall lose or draw away to Doncaster, it's ours to lose. Then I think from that point onward, and we've been chasing for so long that I think the time has come for us to finally sort of get to the top of the table. But looking ahead to the Port Vale match on Tuesday night, Port Vale obviously winning, getting a late winner against Crewe on Saturday. What do we think?
It's a big game. I think this becomes the biggest game of the season, doesn't it? You know, the fact is, let's face it, they could actually have 5 points 5 points on us this week, and that's slightly worrying. At least we'll still be in second place, but only on goal difference. But I think it becomes a huge game, and hopefully, what was it? The fact that I saw was they haven't won a Tuesday night game in 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. So you'd know, Andy, you're smiling, and you know what I'm going to say next. It's a typical Bradford City thing to do, isn't it?
Yeah, but we've been squashing Bradford City thing. Yeah.
Hold on, hold on. Say that again. You went quiet, mate. Yeah, quick, repeat that.
We've been squashing Bradford City things. Bradford City doing Bradford City things like losing and to people that haven't won in months. But no, it's a big game. But I stand by the fact that Port Vale are going to come to play football, and against teams that play football, we play football, and without sounding big-headed, our football's better.
Yeah, I think I don't know why, but thinking about this game on Tuesday night, I'm getting real shades of the Birmingham City Cup game, where we're probably going to be under the cosh for a lot of the game, but that does not stop us coming out, especially in the second half, if we can get to half-time in with a chance, coming out and playing some amazing football and really causing them some issues. I think as well, we spoke about it last week with regards to the injured players coming back, whether they would start. I think Wright had a particularly poor game. He wasn't himself against Accrington, so I would not be surprised to see Poynton come back in. And Keller as well, I thought had a poor game. I mean, everyone had an off day. It was that kind of game. But I think we will be seeing a return of Patterson as well, hopefully, for that game.
It'll be back as well.
Yeah, so I want to touch on this as well, is that someone pointed out on social media that with the form Jaden Stockley's in, wouldn't you like to see Shepherd go man-to-man with him? Big lad versus big lad, just to try keep him quiet.
100%. And the thing is, Graham mentioned that in his aftermatch yesterday that Shepherd wasn't left out for injury. He just wasn't picked. So it's, for me, he's got to come back in. I just want to see Alexander go to Port Vale and be brave.
Yeah, I think that's something that I've already touched on it, but we didn't see that. I don't think against Accrington we didn't take any risks, which isn't too much of a problem. But we're in with the title shot. Why not take a risk?
Is that the players though not doing really what the manager's asked on in that one specific game, because it was the exact same team that went out and blew a really good informed Colchester side out of the water a week ago. We destroyed them, and it was the exact same team. So is the title race getting to the players? Does he need to do more work with the players' heads more than with the football right now to get them in that zone to be brave, to go and push forward and don't settle for anything less than a win?
Yeah, I wonder if it's the mentality of, we're going to take it one game at a time, we're not looking ahead. That's actually starting to backfire now. We're reading into this massively now, but we're clutching at all the straws we can.
We're being fans.
Yeah, we're being fans. We're being fans. But I wonder if that mentality of one game at a time, we're not going to look at the table, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves, is starting to actually bite us, because we're almost getting...
We're not going to look at the table. Every player is straight on internet afterwards.
And even Alexander, I think, admitted that he knows that the first thing players do when they get off the team coach is they look at the
I bet
the
it's
table.
I bet it's happening. Like when Port Vale equalised with Wimbledon yesterday, I bet Luchetti were getting told in his ear that they've just equalised. Alexander knew 100%. I don't buy for a second that they're not aware that the stick focused solely on the game ahead.
It's one
I
of those
can't buy
famous
that.
lines, isn't it? And they always say, "Well, we're not too bothered about what's going on elsewhere because we're too busy about our game." And you're thinking that's not true. You know exactly what's going on elsewhere. But I think it's always the kind of the professional line to give, isn't it? Yeah, going back to Tuesday, I think it's going to be a big game. I mean, they've got Ben Garrity. I love Ben Garrity. I think he's an absolutely awesome player. Ryan Crosdale, who was linked with us in the summer, has been phenomenal for Port Vale this season. They've got Tolaj back. Obviously, we've mentioned the big man Stockley. They're seeming to get a lot of their players back at the right time as well as what we are. It's not going to be an easy game. They're very, very, very good in midfield, very strong, very quick. It's whether we can handle that on Tuesday. I think that they're going to be so up for this one. I feel that this, after that victory against Crewe, their second time in the last few weeks where they've scored in the last minute, those are the kind of games that get you promoted, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, again, they did lose their game in hand. Let's be real with that. They did lose it against Barrow in midweek, but it's like I say, with everyone dropping points everywhere, there's always a chance, and they will still feel they've got a massive shot at the title if they can beat us.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, but it's going to be a tough game. But I'm going to stick my head out and 2-0 City.
I'm gonna go 2-1.
I'm only going 2-0, mind, because I know the Port Vale fans already hate me for missing them out on the graphic.
For leaving them out of that fixture list.
Yeah. So I've left them out of the fixture list. If any of them are listening to this, just take it. I don't think I might like you. Who knows?
I'm going to go against, and I'm going to say it's going to be a 1-1. And I don't think a draw would be a bad result.
No, it wouldn't at all.
Oh, I'd take a draw. If you said let's have a draw now and don't even bother playing, let's go.
I would take that draw.
I'd be all over that, like a fly around shit. Not a problem at all. So we've what do we think the team's going to look like then? Are we 90% sure that Bobby and Pato are back in that starting 11 at the very least? Do we think anybody else is coming back from injury? Do we think Sass is out?
I think they're being awfully quiet about the Sarcevic one because I think it's a bit more serious than it's been laid on to be. With regards to Bobby and Pato, I think, like I've already said, the wind was blowing in the right direction in sort of the second half of the Aki game when they came on, so I don't see why they wouldn't start this one. We need all our best players on the pitch for this one because, like you say, it's probably the biggest game of the season.
Yeah, they've got to start for me. I thought Bobby was... By the way, I think if we talk about anyone decent on Saturday, I think Bobby was good. But I think Bobby comes back in. Certainly, I would like to see Pato back in. He just seemed to have a lot of... he added a lot to it. I was talking to someone after the game who said that the shot that Pato had after the in that game, by the way, going back on that, if it hadn't touched Jamie Walker, it was flying in the back of the net.
Oh, man.
So hopefully Pato back in with his pace. We're going to need that pace on Tuesday night. I would make those changes. I thought Lapsley wasn't great yesterday. Maybe Lapsley goes back on the bench. Jamie certainly didn't do enough to get into the starting 11. So I think Pato, I would like to see Pato and point him back. But regarding Sass, I don't think we're going to see him this season. I was thinking that we were going to do, but they're so quiet about it. It just feels like every week there's been no change. And I think Alexander, nearly called him Parkinson then. I think Alexander mentioned that he's not bothering the medical team because he feels like he's getting on top of them by asking every week what's going on with Sass. I also think that's maybe a bit of a line to say, well, I don't know what's going on, and that actually there's just been no developments on his injury.
Cavs or Melon?
I wanted to bring this up because I'm going to say Cav because I think he's a player who thrives on chaos, and I think as a player he performs so much better in these games when teams come at us and there's space and it's a bit of an end-to-end match. We saw that against Colchester, where he's a fox in the box. I think he reminds me a lot of Darwin Nunez at Liverpool. He's just chaos.
What?
He reminds me. He thrives on this chaos. He's such an inconsistent player.
Yeah, but Nunez can't do anything in a big game. That's not a great comparison, pal.
No, I think they both have similarities in the sense that they're so hot and cold players, and they thrive on that chaos of matches.
I'm not having this. I'm not having
it. You're not having it.
I'm not having Cabinet being compared to Nunez. No, absolutely not. I do get your point about the chaos, and I think that is a very fair point. However, I think I'd like to see Mellon on Tuesday. I think he looked hungry when he came on. I felt that he came on probably 20 minutes too late, actually, as well. But I think Cav drops out as well for Tuesday.
I think Graham doesn't really fancy Mellon. I don't know what he's seeing in training, but I don't think Alexander fancies Mellon that much, because when he came in, the big hype around Mellon, we thought he was going to walk into the side and do bits. He's done that all, really, but he's not been given the opportunity to.
I think that is probably the most important point, that he hasn't really had that opportunity. I've talked to so many creators and also people from Morecambe about Mellon, and they all absolutely love Mellon and think that he's absolutely brilliant. Is confidence a thing? I think so. I think obviously it didn't go well at Stockport at the beginning of the season, didn't really get any minutes. I can't use the line that he's not played enough football, because he has had that opportunity. So I think he's an interesting one, is Mellon. I mean, don't forget, we basically stole him from Chesterfield, by the way, literally on the last minute. It was very much like the Williams deal that Gillingham, when he was staying at a hotel in Bradford and then ended up going to Gillingham at the last second. We did very much that with Mellon. So I would say that does Alexander not really like him? I don't think it's probably fair. I think he obviously really wanted him. Also, what was interesting with Mellon was him and his old man were guests in Ryan Sparks' box for a game, and then the next week he signs for us. So I think maybe we also had little thoughts about bringing him in anyway. So yeah, I think the jury's still very much out on Mellon.
I wanted to touch as well on Jay Ben. Is he injured, or is he just in wilderness?
Yeah, he's disappeared off the face of the earth, I think.
Like, what's going on? Because he looked so good when he came in as well. Because Brad wasn't playing his best football and then Ben came in, and all of a sudden we had this injection of pace, enthusiasm. It disappeared.
And he is around, and he's been around with the squad. He's just not getting in the team. He got that injury, didn't he, before Christmas, which ultimately saw Brad start playing his best football again, where earlier in that season we were starting to worry whether his legs had gone. His legs definitely haven't gone, because he's back with all his pace. But yeah, Jay Ben, he's a strange one. Nobody ever really talks about him. He's totally the forgotten man, isn't he? Him and Clark Adwar, even though Adwar was on the bench a couple of games back, if I remember right, they seem to be the forgotten men. And he was good, and he was good. So obviously there's something going on there. But as far as I'm aware, he hasn't got an injury. He's just not getting in the squad.
If I remember rightly, this has happened for like 3 seasons on the bounce, actually, where we've had like another player come in to sort of challenge, in quotes, Brad for that right back position. And it's looked like they've sort of maybe stated their case, and then Brad has just blown them out the water, and they've never been heard of again. And I think that's a testament to how good a player he is and how competitive he is for that shirt. Because consistency is his game, and he's a fantastic asset for us.
I'm loving Brad. Start of the season, me and Chris, when we've been talking, you were like, get rid. He's shocking. No, you were.
Out here.
Yeah, massive call out.
Literally, all at the start of the season when it wasn't going that great, you were pretty dead against Brad. I'm not. I don't try to shine over fact. I'm calling you out.
I don't think. To be honest with you, I don't think my view was the only view on this.
No.
You know, none of us were particularly impressed. It felt like, you know, he'd had that injury, didn't he, towards the end of the season? Am I right?
Yeah.
And there was the worry that his legs had slightly gone. He's not, you know, he's not no spring chicken anymore. However, he's totally proven us wrong because his form is as good, if not better, than last season. But yeah, cheers for the sellout there, mate. I appreciate that one.
Anytime. Love it.
I just enjoyed what Jay Ben did in the team as well. I thought, you know, with his his crossing ability was absolutely brilliant, Jay Ben. But yeah, he's just disappeared. But you're right as well, Ewan, about, you know, the players disappearing, because we got the player from, was it Rotherham last season, that just didn't get anywhere, didn't even get in the squad. And you're absolutely right. It does seem. I mean, it speaks a lot about Brad, doesn't it? And how he likes that competition for places, because that's when we see the best of him.
Yeah, totally agree. Right. So before we start looking to wrap this up, I just want to take, because we've got a 2-game week this week, so I do want to have a quick look towards Crew game. So we've got a draw, we've got then 2 City wins for Port Vale. How does that shape us up for Crew at home on Saturday?
Well, I think our answers may vary what happens on Tuesday night. It's a really bad answer, but it is not. Crew on a bit of a slide at the moment, aren't they? They didn't look great against Port Vale, and they're dropping massively now, like a stone out of the playoffs. But we know the quality they've got in the side. They have got those good players that can cause us issues. I completely forgot that Omar Bogle's there now.
Yeah,
you remember him. But they've got players that can hurt us. You know, Demetrio at the back is going to be a threat at all times. So he's one to watch out for, especially because we're playing them at home. They, depending on how they set up, will be interesting. Would have been a game we'd love to have Cookie for.
Yeah, it's going to be a big game. Again, big shout out to club. They're doing the offer, aren't they, as well, to try and pack out the parade again. And I'm loving it. People are jumping on board, and just going slightly off subject, sorry, but all the fans, when you've gone on banter pages and groups and stuff like that, all going, oh, but because we had the biggest attendance, oh, but they were only selling tickets for £5. Do you not want that?
Do you know what? I don't even feel like we need to bring this up, because I think 2 of the main culprits of that, fan bases that have been the main culprits of that, have just had their season tickets with prices come out. And let's say that they're not particularly happy with that. It's always a thing that we've had thrown at us. And it's always something where I say, we're not the cheapest in the Football League anymore. That was a long time ago. If anything, what we did was we helped start creating, you know, cheaper prices for families. Let's remember what the world is like at the moment, certainly over here. And there's nothing wrong with that. And yeah, kudos to City. Apparently, the City event have got something going on Saturday that's not been revealed yet. So that'll be interesting to see where that's coming with. I think it might be sponsoring towards that. So that'll be interesting to see. But let's get it packed out again. Let's make them nervous. And long may it continue with cheap prices. And I don't think our prices are bad again either. I think £50 extra, I don't mind that. And at least we've got the direct debits, and at least we're not Wimbledon.
No. Or God forbid, at least we're not Crew.
Yeah.
Someone
right.
I did see a funny comment saying that the £5 shouldn't be extended to Crew, and we should charge them an arm and a leg for the away fans, considering how much they charge for their away tickets.
Well, have you seen how much Wimbledon tickets are going to be away from home next season?
I haven't actually.
I think it's £34.
That's extortionate. That's for us. You could see that £50 increase as it looks like we're going to get promoted, so you can kind of see it, but their promotion is not guaranteed.
Yeah,
that's poor. That's poor form. That is. Right, we are coming close to the end. I've got one question for you all. So currently, City have Teo Adamarola, Yeah, that's a gobful, isn't it? Michael Mellon, Brandon Keller, Jack Shepherd, and Jay Ben on loan. Boys, you can pick only one to keep forever because they always say the old adage, don't fall in love with a lone player. There's a few in there that I'm certainly infatuated with. Who are you picking to take forever?
I don't think that's even. You need to dignify that with an answer because it's Teo all the way. If we manage to keep him,
Really?
I will eat all the hats in the world, all the hats, all the shoes, everything. By a mile. The fact that he's come in and we haven't, like you say, and similar to the Halliday situation, no one has come close to matching him on that left side, which is good news because it's pushed right further up the field. But he's fantastic. His pace is a real threat, and it would be in League One as well. He's got a great cross on him. He's got a bit of an eye for goal as well as we've seen. He's the complete article for this league and for this team as well. It's what we've needed.
I'm going to go against you.
Really?
I'm going with Shepherd.
I got Shepherd too.
Yeah, I love Shepherd. I completely agree with everything you've just said, Ewan. However, I just think there's something else about Shepherd. It's I have fallen in love with Shepherd. I think that he's exactly what we need in a central defender. He's been brilliant. Apart from, this is the thing about Shepherd is when he had a poor game, I can't remember who it was against. Was it? It was Tranmere, wasn't it? It was Tranmere had a poor game. Everybody brought that up. The fact that he had a poor game, I think that speaks a lot about him. I think that we'll probably at the end of the season talk more about him having a poor game against Tranmere than Teo having a poor game against Accrington. He gets the club. He's a young player. I know Teo's a young player as well. But he just seems to get this club, and I'm a big Shepherd fan, and I would love to keep him in the summer.
And that's I was just about to say that. I think that's a more reasonable and realistic transfer target than Teo coming in on a permanent.
The thing is, I could see Teo as well being loaned back to us next year, especially if we go up, because he's not ready for Palace. First team yet. So I could see it. We go up a league. Palace like, yeah, he's had a great time. Let's send him back for another season. Same with Keller as well. I could see him coming back to us next season because I've been quite impressed with him, in fairness. And I think he's got a lot of learning to do, and he's shown in glimpses that he's really good. But yeah, I have to go with Chris on this. I'm liking Jack Shepherd. He's so intelligent football-wise. He knows how to play the ref game. He's quite good at the dark arts, but he's that general at the back. He's been running that defense. So for me, it would be Jack Shepherd. However, gents, it's that time. We're gonna have to say goodbye.
Cue the music.
Cue the music. It's been a pleasure and a privilege as always. So we'll see where we're at come after Tuesday and Saturday next week. Hopefully we'll all be singing and dancing. But who knows? But join us again for the 1911 in a week's time. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Ewan. Catch you later, gents.